right. Good evening, everybody.
Are you on Zoom or something?
Yeah. Okay.
Good evening. Well, we are still waiting for folks to join us. People are still coming in from the waiting room. If you could mute yourself, that would be great.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, bye. Bye.
Hey, Sean.
Then we show the wedding ring.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. What's up, Sean? How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Good to be here.
Good to see you. We're still letting folks in.
Exactly.
All right. Admit.
Admit nothing. That's what they say in DC.
Admit nothing. What's up, Coach Mark? I
Hey, Eric.
couldn't even
Long time no see. It's been like 48 hours.
I know. I couldn't even see you, and I knew that was you.
Yeah, I'm hiding in the darkness.
Coach Mark is here.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk about it in a second, Brittany. Welcome, everybody. If you want to join us on video, please do. If not, that is okay as well. I understand that. Tim, you made it. Good to see you. Good. All right, we're still we're still letting folks in, so just give us 1 minute. And if you could mute yourself if you have not, please do that. What's going on, Joe? Is it cold down there in Florida?
Yeah, it's a frigid 75.
I know. That's rough, man.
Beach day Saturday.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna share my screen here. Jacqueline's gonna keep letting people in. Okay. Un momento. What's that? Can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right, good. All right. I know there are some folks still coming in. I saw the question in the chat box. What is this meeting about? So we'll cover that first. If this is your first time to Mobilize Recovery, we are working to make sure that people can think and act locally. We are working to give people the community organizing tools to change what you want to see change in your community. We are a network of people in recovery, family members, allies, supporters of recovery, harm reduction folks. Really, it's a pretty wide net of who attends these meetings. And so this is the first meeting of the year. We always have it on the last Thursday of the month, unless it's conflicted with the holiday. Last Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern. And so this is the first of the year, but it's also the first of an entire series. All of the workshops this year, from January to December, go with one another. And so we're going to build out a Google Classroom for it and everything. It's really going to be pretty amazing. And so if it's your first time here, welcome. Please use the chat to introduce yourself. And even if you've been here before, welcome back. And just use the chat to introduce yourself. Let people know where you're from and why you advocate or why you do community organizing. And so if you're brand new to this, I'm excited for you. And so, all right. So today we are making beloved community soup, and that might sound weird, and that's okay. But we're going to get there. And so before we get started with the workshop tonight, there are a lot of ways that you can get involved, and we have a whole bunch of tools for you to do your own community organizing. You might have this idea, and you're like, how do I make this idea and a reality? We did a series last year called the Community Impact Project series. And so if you scan that QR code on the left, that brings you to that classroom. You can also go to Recovery Advocacy Project, which is recoveryvoices.com, and there's a ton of tools there, like advocacy toolkits. There is a model legislation page. And so it really has a bunch of tools already there for you that you can jump right in. And so that way it kind of, you can gotta dive deeper into what Mobilize Recovery is all about. And then the third way you can get involved is you're here. Come to these workshops. They're really based on participation. And I'm just happy that we are growing. We have a large amount of people that come every month from all over the country. Every single workshop this year is from different presenters. And so this is the only time you'll see me for this particular series in terms of running a workshop. You can now register for the February workshops. February 29th is the next one in this series. And then we also got a request for like an advocacy 101 or an organizing 101. So if you're brand new to this and you want to join us on February 8th, since, you know, they gave us they threw us a day in February this year. So we're going to use it. And so February 29th is Black Recovery Going Beyond Current DEI Initiatives, and February 8th is Advocacy and Organizing 101. I believe that both of those registrations have been dropped into the chat. Jacqueline, if you want to drop them a handful of more times as we're going through today. So that way people have the opportunity to sign up for them. And we usually have a follow-up email. You'll see a follow-up email to this next week that you can register for February, March, and April workshops. So that is coming in your inbox. Great. Oh, by the way, I'm Aaron. Sorry. I realize we have a lot of new people here. So we're gonna do myself and Karen are gonna do introductions in a minute. But I wanted to go over just give you an idea of what the 2024 Mobilize Recovery Workshop series is about. And these really come off of conversations that we had at our staff retreat and conversations that I've had with a lot of organizers across the country. And it's really about showing up for one another and better understanding why people get involved in this movement. Because you could have two family members that are interested in advocacy, and they might have totally different ways of going about it, right? And they might be on completely different sides of the fence even, right? And so it's really kind of interesting and like how we can better understand where people are coming from. And we know that, and so that's really going to be the focus for the entire year, is that there's all these pieces and they're interconnected. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it today, and Karen, I'm sure, is going to talk about it a little bit today as well. And so February I mentioned, is focused on Black community. March is the spiritual and metaphysical. And Anna Jones and Hillary Belk and Serena Gunn and Kelvin Young and Yadele will be doing that. That'll be the last Thursday in March. And April, Jordan Scott is hosting, and we're going to focus on people who use drugs and different pathways and styles of recovery. So that's April. And so you'll have all of those links to sign up. And so, great. It's good. There's so many more people still coming in. So I'm glad that you're here. Karen Barnett and I, we've known each other. I think we were trying to figure it out the other day. I think it's like 13 years or something like that. And we thought it would be interesting that instead of each one of us giving our own introduction, we would try to introduce the other person. And so, Karen, do you want to let me see. I gotta make sure you can unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted. You can go
Oh,
first.
okay,
You can
good.
introduce
You
me.
want me to go first? Okay, good. I
Yes.
got that. All right. So Karen Burnett, it, this might be the simplest introduction, is very special to me. And so,
Okay.
so just a little background. I moved to New Jersey in 2010, and I didn't know anybody. I went to New Jersey because there was this job description that said, train a generation of recovery advocates. And I was like, that sounds like something I want to do. And so I moved to New Jersey not knowing anybody. And we had these very local countywide advocacy groups that we built in New Jersey. And Karen was one of the advocates in, she was in Bridgeton. And so she was in the Gloucester, Camden, Burlington County team. And one of the first meetings I went to, we had our advocacy meeting. I think we went to a diner and met advocates. And when the advocacy meeting was over, Karen knew that I had about like a little over an hour drive back to my home. And so she said, make sure you call me when you get home. And I thought that was, so for me, just imagine yourself moving somewhere and not knowing anybody. And that is the type of person that Karen is. And we also just, we've organized events together and campaigns and workshops. And I remember we did an event in Bridgeton, New Jersey, and I think it was like a youth focus. There was like a youth focus. And I think we had to walk to her car for something, or we were walking down the street, and there was at least half a dozen people or a dozen people that stopped to talk to Karen, like on the way. We were there, she knew everybody and everybody knew her. And so when we talk about community organizing, and I was like, I thought she was like, you would have thought she was like the mayor of that town, but no, she just knows everybody, and young, old. It's just she knows everybody there, and to me, that's what community organizing is about: is building those relationships. And she always introduces herself as an ally. We always say the recovery community is people in recovery, family members, and allies, and if you want to know how to be an ally to this community, get to know Karen Barnett. And so that's my introduction for Karen Barnett.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't know that I know her. I don't know that I know her.
That's you.
I don't know. I think my son may be on this.
Oh, good.
I think he may have jumped on. So Cubs, does that sound like me? But anyhow, I had the opportunity of meeting this amazing young man. And at that time, I was an empty nester, and I'm still an empty nester. However, in the midst of being an empty nester, there were a lot of things about this young man that kind of aligned with someone that I loved. And seeing him come out on the other side and be committed to advocacy gave me hope. But more importantly, seeing how inclusive he already was gave me hope. And it was just as if I had known him. And we say this all the time. Once we met, it was as if we had known each other all of our life.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is much more to me than just Aaron Kucharski, because I love him and I treat him like a son. And I am so, so, so humbled to be able to watch him as he is in his journey and all of the things that he is doing. And I saw that my son just posted, but I didn't get a chance to see what he said. But my son and my grandson have had the opportunity to meet him, and they love him just as much. And it's just, again, humbling to be able to have the opportunity to work with someone who is so invested, and you are kindred spirits. And I know that he has deposited into me. And I just simply pray that what I have shared and deposited into him gets spread around the world, because we need that type of agape love. We need that type of support, and we need that type of encouragement to make beloved community soup. So I'm humbled to be here to share, but more importantly, I'm encouraged by the number of people that are here this evening. And my son will give me his critique once the workshop is over. So I share with you, I present to you, but most importantly, I leave with you, Aaron Kucharski.
Well, it's an honor to be doing this with you. I knew that I was like, how do we kick off 2024? You know, and we both had some we had some loss, you know, we had some personal losses in our close family and friends last year, and we spent a lot of time on the phone, and it just felt like this like natural, like, yes, this we can together help set the tone for 2024. And so welcome everybody. Karen is did some you know, we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do, and she kind of heard me out of like some of my thoughts, and then she said, have you ever heard about stone soup? And I hadn't. And so Karen, I'm going to turn things over to you to share a little bit about what you created, and then I'll jump in with my ingredients for our community stone soup, our beloved community soup.
Okay, no worries, and thank you. And actually, one of the foundational ingredients was given to us by Jacqueline when she did her presentation. So when Aaron and I were talking, one of the things that I wanted to be able to do was to look at the workshop that Jacqueline Brown had done. And she was talking about leveling and connecting values. And so I know that we're going to be sharing that slide later, but what we wanted people to really do was to look very closely at the things that they value and not put them into big buckets, but really look at the ingredients that go into those things. So I've got a whole lot of things on this back wall, and I don't know that you can see all of them, but one of those Schwartz elements is power. One is universalism. But when we looked at that, we looked at it and we said, okay, if you buy a container of a jar of spaghetti sauce, it says that it's spaghetti sauce. However, within that spaghetti sauce, there are all of these other ingredients. So we wanted to look at what are the ingredients that we as individuals, that we as a community bring to the table when we are building things, and do we separate out the ingredients, or do we add all of the ingredients to make something that's more enhanced? So the story of stone soup is actually a European folktale, and what I did was I did a remix. So this is the story of beloved community soup, a 2024 remix of the original European folktale of stone soup. And of course, it's by me. So here we go. Once upon a time, somewhere in a community that could be anywhere, there was a great community crisis. People placed shame and stigma upon people and hoarded whatever services they could find, even from their friends and neighbors. Sound familiar? One day, a group of individuals in or seeking recovery, affected or affected by substance misuse, co-occurring disorders, or mental health challenges arrived at the village, sold a few of their wares, and began asking questions as if they planned to stay for the night. One of the individuals said, There are no services here and not even a shelter where you can get a meal in the whole community. Better keep moving. The group of advocates said, "Oh, we have everything we need. In fact, we were thinking of making some beloved community soup to share with all of you." They pulled out a large cast iron pot from their wagon, filled it with water, and built a fire under it. Then, with great ceremony, they each stepped forward and shared their sobriety or recovery dates or hours of abstinence or compliance with MAT or harm reduction plans, how many meetings they had attended since they were last together, and the names of individuals who had lost their lives while seeking services. And one of the things that I thought about as I was writing this was the passion and the plea that Chantel gave at Mobilizing Recovery. And I wonder how things would have looked differently if there was beloved community soup that met her needs. By now, hearing the rumor of food and individuals openly talking about the possibility of recovery, the diverse paths to recovery, and how inclusive the group was of members that looked like their community, most of the villagers had come to the square or were watching from their windows in curiosity. As the group smelled the broth and licked their lips in anticipation, the need for services and hunger began to overcome their skepticism. "Ah," the group said rather loudly, "we do like a tasty, beloved community soup." The group realized another time when they had enjoyed beloved community soup with some friends at a meeting. One of them happened to have some carrots and added them to the pot and told them that they could use the basement of a local church to have meetings until they moved on. "Oh, how it would sweeten the broth," they exclaimed. One of the people that were listening said, "I may have a carrot or two." He went and fetched them and put them in the pot. Others in the village soon began to recall their favorite soups and times they had needed support. As they did, they began to share items that they had tucked away or services that they knew about. One after another, they were off. They returned with some potatoes, onions, meat, and so on, until there was indeed a delicious meal for all. As it was served, the villagers realized that there were people everywhere that were seeking or in recovery, and there was room for everyone to access it. It took a wandering group of advocates and community members to show that diversity, equity, and inclusiveness is the foundation of not only a tasty broth, but a village that can help others heal. From that day on, long after the group had left, the village reminisced about the finest soup they had ever eaten and the lives that had been changed because of reducing the stigma of substance misuse and always leading with DEI in access, all recovery support services, and policy treatment, deployment, and development. This isn't the end of the story. It's an imagined possibility. The story of beloved community soup. Aaron, back to you.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the ingredients that you personally want to add to the soup? And then I'll share mine and then we'll open it up.
Okay, what we're actually going to do is we want you to think about, do we have the slide for the?
Yes. There we go.
Okay, this is the Schwartz values model. You can actually go in and look at this in the Google Classroom. And this is from a phenomenal workshop that Jacqueline Brown did. what we want you to do is we want you to actually create your own recipe. And we want you to look at these values and create a recipe that you believe will help individuals access the things that they want. So it's not so much about what you want or what you need, but it's how can we build something that meets the needs of everyone. So I was supposed to do this in advance, however, I did not. So if I were to select an ingredient from universalism, I would say broad-mindedness. Making sure that the broth includes not only what I think, but being broad-minded to be able to make sure that it's something that everyone else would want to eat, but more importantly, once they consume it, it helps, it fortifies them. If I were to look at tradition, I would have to say respect for tradition and embracing the traditions that everyone brings into environments. If I were to select something for self-direction, oh my goodness. I would probably have to go for creativity, because when you are creative, you can bring and enhance and complement any environment. If I looked at security, I would have to say family security, because anyone that knows me knows that when my family is off kilter, I am beyond off kilter, and I naturally want my family to be well. If I look at benevolence, I would have to say that for me, it's a spiritual life, because that is the thing that fortifies me and has gotten me through my darkest times. Stimulation, I would have to say daring to be different and daring to believe that you have the power to change, not just yourself, but change the world to make it better for others. If I looked at conformity, I would have to say honoring parents and elders, because that's very, very big for me. That is a family tenet. If I look at power, I wouldn't say preserving my public image, but maintaining the integrity of my public image, making sure that who you see is who I am 24/7. And under achievement, I just want to be capable. I want to make sure that whatever I am doing, that I'm doing it to the best of my ability, and humble enough to make sure that if I can take direction, but more importantly, just stay humble so that it's not about me. And for pleasure, I just want to be blessed to enjoy the rest of my time here and make sure that I have enjoyed life, but more importantly, that the life that I live puts others in the position to be able to have others enjoy life. So those would be the ingredients that I would put into my soup.
Thank you, Karen, for setting the stage. And I hope everybody can kind of take a few minutes and think about what your mixture of ingredients. And I'll come back to this slide. I was thinking about what ingredient I wanted to add to the community soup. And I had this there's this quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a peace activist, who was able to be an advisor and an ally, the Martin Luther King, and for civil rights justice, and so I think I've talked a little bit about this. So my stepfather, who had 30 years in recovery, passed away last year. He's somebody who introduced me to recovery, brought me to my first meeting and introduced me to recovery. And he knew he was passing. He had about 5 months between his diagnosis and his passing. And in that 5 months, every time I visited him up in Vermont, he was either reading Thich Nhat Hanh or he was watching like a documentary that around Thich Nhat Hanh's life, because Thich Nhat Hanh had passed away in 2022 at the age of 92. And so I wanted to put this sort of piece here about community being the core of everything and what we're trying to build, what we bring and add to our community, where there should be harmony and peace and understanding. That's something created by our daily life together. And so there are things that we do on a daily basis that can add to this. If love is there in the community, and that's going to be my ingredient is love, which kind of fits all the benevolence category on the prior one. But if we've been nourished by the harmony in the community, then we will never move away from love. And so when I was thinking about what I personally wanted to add, there's this piece that he has these two phrases here of what love is and what love is not. The first, it says, if our love is only a will to possess, it is not love. And so that goes to that piece about power and inequalities, and wanting to consume all of the resources, and leaving people behind as a result of that. And so, love is a word, but there's these components and dynamics. And so he says, if our love is only a will to possess, it is not love. And he talked about what love is. He says, to be loved is to be recognized as existing. And when my stepfather passed, I had the honor of delivering his eulogy. And I was thinking about all of the stuff with Thich Nhat Hanh that he was watching and consuming as he knew he was passing, and he would share some of the stuff that he was writing every night. And there's this song by the Avett Brothers that brought, at least in his passing and his understanding of that love is the answer. Love is, and he's leaving behind my mother, who's never lived on her own. And so that bumper sticker that says love is the answer is on the garage door in Vermont. So if my mom doesn't know what to do or doesn't quite understand and needs some answers, love is the answer. And so I wanted to share these lyrics that I shared at his eulogy. And it's by the Avett Brothers. And if I say it kind of slow, it's only because I'm trying to hear the music in my head to remember the words. It says, when my body can't hold me anymore, and it finally sets me free, will I be ready? And when my feet can't walk another mile, and my lips kiss their last kiss goodbye, will my hands be steady? When I lay down my fears, my hopes, and my doubts, the rings on my fingers and the keys to my house, will I do it without hard feelings? And I'll walk through the light and into the night, holding the love that I've known in my life, with love in thought and love in the words and love in the song that they'll sing in the church. And no hard feelings. And so I think about that love piece, and when he passed, he's somebody very similar to Karen, where you meet some people in your life and you're like, this person knows some stuff that gets something that I don't get, and has wisdom. And so when he was really kind of consuming himself with that love piece, and I think about that love and him when passing, love, carrying love with him when he's going through that. And the reason why I share that is because he's somebody that found recovery and was able to experience that. And the reality is not everybody has that same access, has that same equity in finding that sort of peace to live their lives. And overdose robs people, preventable overdose can rob people from that. And every overdose is a policy failure. Every overdose is a healthcare failure, a community failure. And so that's why I want to continue to do the work that I'm doing, because it should not matter where somebody lives or their orientation or their skin color or the community that that person is living in, whether it's like a rural community. It should not matter. None of those things should matter when it comes to saving somebody's life and getting access to life-saving support. So that's it. Love. All of that one word. That I'm throwing that one word in the cauldron. Is that what it's called? A cauldron? I keep forgetting the name of it. A cauldron?
Cauldron.
Cauldron. All right. And so we are going to open up the discussion. We have plenty of time for people. So if you can raise your hand electronically, like Zoom, raise your hand, so that way you come to the front of the room here, so we can call on you. So you can talk about what you would like to add to the community soup. So Karen and I have both added to the community soup, and now it's open. So who wants to go first? Michelle. All right.
Sure, why not? Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Hi, Michelle.
Karen. So
Are you
good
in
to see
Alaska
you,
now?
Karen. I'm in Alaska now. It's
Alaska.
beautiful.
Goodness.
I love it.
Wow.
I'm Karen. Good to see you. We met at
Yeah,
Mobilize.
yes. Yes.
I need to get in contact with you. So what would I add to the soup? So many things. I think compassion for all humans, no matter what their situation. I was just able to do a presentation for healthcare workers and social workers, and Jacqueline helped me with it because she's a rock star too, and just talking about the discrimination against people who use drugs, and then add a baby to it, and racism and all the other things. It's just, I don't like our world. I just don't like our system. I think it's horrific. And I think open-mindedness is a huge one.
Yeah,
We could just
what I
open
want.
minds.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what you want to add to the soup this year? Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shishi.
Hi, Aaron. I just caught the end of what you were saying. I had to run my dog out because she pissed on my carpet. So, but I'm so sorry for your loss. I love you, and you should come back to New Jersey. But I don't really. So I am adding something to the cauldron that like is meaningful to me. Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Okay. So, and to piggyback off of Michelle, yeah, the world is just wild right now. And yeah, like as a neurodivergent person, I have justice sensitivity. So every time there's like injustice sensitivity, like anytime like something goes wrong or there's injustice, I get so emotional and I get so stressed out and I get so involved and so excited and so like, and it's exhausting, But the one thing that I did want to add is, only in the past few years I have been able to like be authentically myself. And because I masked for years, like I'm clumsy. I'm airheaded. I forget everything. I fall. I trip all the time. I don't remember anything. Like, I make dumb jokes. I'm corny. I'm a dork, and I always masked those because I thought that, people wouldn't like me and I wanted to be accepted, like everyone wants to be accepted and liked and valued. And in the past few years, and I have 8 years in recovery, just in the past few years, I really started to embrace, like, just be authentic and not give a shit and not care and embrace my quirks and kind of make fun of them. Like if I stutter or if I make a stupid joke and no one laughs, or Courtney Pence from Indiana can speak to this. Like when I can show up like in certain situations, but in other certain situations, I freeze and I can't move. You know what I'm saying? And I embrace that now. And like that's me. And like I'm in my 40s. I'm 43 and I'm finally learning how to love myself and accept myself. And that's a friggin' shame, because like that's horrible. Like I should have had this confidence years ago, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and I was abstinent for a little while. And that's how I was introduced to recovery. And now I am a hardcore harm reductionist, hardcore advocate. And I go hard for recovery, all forms of recovery, but I think that authenticity is the thing that I want to add to the soup, because I think that everyone deserves to be their authentic selves and not feel shame or guilt, or not be, made fun of, or ostracized for it. Um, I was diagnosed with ADHD at 35 years old. Like how do women go for decades with these obvious neurodivergent symptoms and no one gives a crap, and that's finally changing, so like no one can tell me nothing about myself, and that feels really good. So authenticity is mine.
Awesome. That's perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was the
All
word.
about that self-direction, choosing your own goals and freedom. Love it. Love it.
All right, Alyssa.
Hi, I'm Melissa. Oh my God, Sheila, what you just said totally resonated because I'm 43 and I only just started like loving myself and I'm happy finally. But anyway, I was gonna add to the soup collaboration. Because wouldn't it be great if your organization could single-handedly end the overdose crisis? Wouldn't it be amazing? And before this life, before doing what I'm doing now, I worked for the NFL. And it's a bunch of teams, right? Fighting for the Super Bowl, but they're all under the NFL.
Mhm.
And I guess this year I have learned, and I don't know what's happening. It's like in New Jersey, or if it's happening in every state, it's these egos that come in from every organization, and everyone, like, no one's collaborating or bringing in another person, and everyone's like, I know the best, and I know the most, and everyone's fighting over these like funds, I guess. And I'm like, we have to come together to end the overdose crisis, because I can't do it alone, you can't do it alone, and we like have to come together. And like Sheila was awesome because I like brought her to my meeting, and I was like, you need to talk about this New Jersey harm reduction, like how you guys pass this bill. And I'm like, and I think we need to collaborate more. And we have to like, if I can't answer a question, I'm gonna go to another organization and be like, listen, this reporter wants to talk to me. And like, can you answer the question? And I think that's not happening right now because everyone wants like the cred and everybody wants to be like the expert on the overdose crisis. And we're not like coming together the way we should. And so I am adding collaboration
A good one.
to the mix.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth.
My name is Elizabeth Reddick. I live in Washington, D.C. I used to live in New Jersey for about 8 years. I'm not exactly sure how to categorize this, but I'm gonna kind of just give a brief overview as why. I kind of think maybe in universalism, but I'm a big proponent of rap for kids. And the reason I say rap for kids is if I knew about rap before I needed rap, I think I wouldn't have found myself in a lot of the situations that I'm in. Substance SUD is very prevalent in my family as well as mental health concerns. But what I do for my kids is even my 5-year-old has a rap. And as my kids are getting older and they're going through things, they reference their rap weekly to update it, to kind of look and say, okay, where am I feeling? You know, what can I do in order to help me self-regulate? You know, maybe I need a nap, maybe I need to listen to music, like all of these tools and positive ways of coping as opposed to the ways of coping that I learned as a kid or the ways that I didn't learn and I kind of picked up from peers. So like for me, that has transformed my kids and my life myself. We talk about mental health like it's talking about spaghetti at dinner. Like it's not stigmatized at all in my house. And then they bring their friends and I'm having these conversations with their friends and they're like mental health advocates at school. Like I said, my 5-year-old has a rap plan. So like if we could bring that and normalize that in our school systems as a tier 1 support, I think that that would transform our communities.
Mm.
Mm.
Talk about mental
Wow.
spaghetti. Yep.
It's in the sauce.
Yeah, she's talking about mental health like we talk about spaghetti. I love it. Yeah.
It's in the sauce.
Yeah. Tammy, Alabama. Hi, Tammy.
Hey y'all.
Welcome.
For me, because I'm an ally, I would add empathy. I've had to learn over the last 4 or 5 years with losing my aunt and my boyfriend. It was the way my friends treated me because I didn't talk about his addiction at church. So I learned I may never know what many people face, but if I can put myself in your shoes, what it's like, I have experienced just a little bit of it the last 4 years. And when you are so kind and compassionate and truly empathetic to people that may not be like you, because I have the whole mental health background, I would add the wisdom for that. But it truly changes how you see people. It's not about drugs. It's not about heroin. It's not about that drug or that drug. It's just seeing people for people. And my faith is a big part of that. And I know when you can, and he taught me so many things that I didn't realize because he taught me to see you are human. It's not about what you're facing, what drug you're using. It's just your brain is working against you. And I've done a lot of education, educating myself about the brain. And for me, it truly is important as an ally to be empathetic to people that you may not, because I don't have the addiction. I have clothes addiction by far, but a substance I don't. But yeah, empathy is a big one.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tammy. Empathy and understanding. Love it.
Empathy under that benevolence. Phenomenal.
Tim Rich, a lot of New Jersey today.
Hey everybody, my name's Tim Rich. I live in Hunterdon County, New Jersey.
And I'm actually surprised this one is not under benevolence. And this is kindness. This is one that I really try to live by. I know Thich Nhat Hanh was a big advocate of kindness. I'm just going to read a poem, and that's all I'm going to do. It's a quick poem. It's a guy's name is John Rodell. If you've ever heard of him, he's amazing.
Yeah.
So here it goes. When the world goes mad, be wildly kind to everyone. You can't control much, but you can control how you treat others. In these breaking news, heartbreaking times when nothing feels certain, let your raw kindness be a certainty. Allow your compassion to be a North Star stamped up in the sky for others to follow back home. I love that. Kindness is really important to me. And I think it goes well in the soup. I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, at least 2 or 3 people started their share off with, "We're living in mad times." That's the perfect poem to read. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lynette.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Lynette.
Hey, Lynette.
How y'all doing?
Well, Lynette.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Blessed
So,
New Year, Lynette.
I love this so much. Thank you for bringing this and sharing. For me, a spiritual life is something that I feel like we don't embrace enough. I think maybe because some of us were raised in recovery where faith and spirituality, whatever it looked like, was not always comfortable or welcome or understood. But we know now that a spiritual life, and whatever that may mean, whether it's a faith tradition, like for myself, but whether it's nature or the universe or whatever that means, it is essential for us to embrace that if we want to, one, connect with our fellow human beings in a meaningful way, and then secondly, to take this work to be able to do this work without burning out. You got to have a sense of rootedness and connection to something else other than ourselves. So for me, that's really important. And I would also say the social justice piece, and social justice in the simple sense of human dignity for all. It's as simple as that. If you embrace that, then that covers a multitude of what we can do together, and closely following that with freedom. If one of us isn't free, none of us are free.
That's right.
And yeah, so and of course, because for me, I feel like I'm a pretty creative person. Creativity, in all senses of the word, to allow us to recover in our own way, to live how we choose, to love how we choose, to do it with fabulousness and joy. I want that for all of us. And finally, I don't think I saw this on here, but as I've learned, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, but connection. And so I want for us to feel a sense of connection with each other, with the universe, with our higher power, with our work, and with the people that we serve. Thanks.
You're gonna have
Thank you, Lynette. You brought the spice.
You're gonna have a good beginning of the year, Lynette. You're presenting in February, and then it's spirituality and metaphysical in March. And so it's
Oh wow,
all
look at
lined
that.
up
I
for you.
planned it that way.
Yeah,
Look at that.
it's all lined up for you. All right. Is it Leland? I don't know if I'm saying that correct. I'll have you unmute and introduce yourself.
It's Leland. Smith. Hey, I'm okay with that. Yeah. My name's Leland. I'm a person in active and sustained recovery. I'm here in Colorado representing Advocates for Recovery. And I wanted to say the first thing that popped out in this list here was forgiveness. So as someone who is in long-term recovery, I've got a little over 6 years, struggled with mental health as well. But one of the things that I think is super important for me personally is forgiveness, not only the piece for forgiving others, but more importantly for me, forgiving myself. I've got tons of trauma. I'm sure we all do at some point, but that piece that is so difficult for me, but also so rewarding, and something that just gives me the most overwhelming joy is when I am truly able to forgive myself. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of the things that helped me were readings by Thich Nhat Hanh, that helped me really realize that I need to focus more on the internal before I can focus on the external. But it's difficult to forgive others, but more importantly, to be able to forgive ourselves so we can spread that love and joy and get in that cauldron and just mix it all up. Because if we're not doing it for ourselves, we can't help the others. So
That's
forgiveness,
right.
that's huge.
I love it. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Kathy. Hey, Kathy.
Hey, Aaron.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for
We
doing
have a
this.
couple more minutes, and so you can close us out here.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'm bringing compassion. Compassion for other people, compassion for my neighbors, and compassion for my ding dang self. Holy cow. So yeah, that's what I'm bringing. I'm bringing compassion.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm curious, if my son is still on, what are you bringing?
Let me look to see here.
Cubs, are you on?
I will find him.
I'm on.
Okay. What are you bringing?
I am bringing a smorgasbord of so many of these traits. And I'll start with universalism. I'd like to see equality, and I'd like to see social justice. Going in the tradition, respect for tradition, and moderation. Self-direction, there's so many, but I'll go with creativity, freedom, independence, security, family security, and social order, benevolence, forgiveness, responsibility, helpfulness, stimulation. We'll sprinkle all three in. Conformity, conformity. I'd want to sprinkle all in again. Power, preserving a public image and social power. Achievement, self-respect, and ambition, and pleasure. We'll just add a smidgen of all three of those as well.
Oh, just a smidgen. Okay.
Just
I like the smidgen. Thank you, Cubs.
A dash of compliance.
Yeah, just a tablespoon of being put on the spot.
Yeah. Oh, welcome. Karen, do you want to bring us out, or if there's anybody else that wants to jump in? We have about a minute, but if you want to take yourself off camera and just look at one another, that's a good time too. I'm just happy to be with you all. Definitely jump on once a month. It's always nice to last Thursday of every month just to re-energize and see everybody. Some weird energy stuff going on in the world, and so just be with each other, right?
Thank you, Sean. I saw that autonomy.
Yeah, there's some stuff in the chat too. I missed some stuff in the chat. There's some great stuff in there.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to close with, Karen?
I think, I go back to some of the things that I said in the Inspire talk when we were in Washington. And I just think that it's really, really important for us to pace ourselves and everyone knows that when you're making soup or sauce or gravy, that is the process of allowing it to simmer and allowing all of the flavors of all the ingredients to kind of blend and marinate that makes it delicious. It's not, the process of advocacy is not quick. So it has to marinate, it has to simmer. But I think that as long as we remember that an injustice to one is an injustice to all, and that we all have gifts that we can bring and ingredients that we bring, that when we mix them all together, it's really powerful and it can sustain people. But more importantly, I ended with John Lewis when I was in Washington. I'm going to end with John Lewis today. Let's go out and get into some good trouble, but more importantly, let's make some good, beloved community soup.
All right.